Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's April 8th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, I really want to take some time today to talk about all the things that went on at practice yesterday, because it was enormous, and there's so many different elements of it to talk about. And I want to start with the fact that Mario Cristobal stopped practice in the middle to, I mean, we could say ream out his team or speak with urgency to his team, however you want to put it. But the bottom line is this was practice 11 out of 15 this spring. The kids are probably getting a little worn out, and this is when the head coach has to be a head coach. And, mad props to Mario for stepping up and giving them a wake-up call and telling them that they were not practicing hard enough. And the message seemed to be heard loud and clear up and down the roster. And one of the things that came to mind was that, and we've been talking about this with regularity on the message boards on this show, the fact that the Miami roster is just not right, is not where it needs to be at this point. And some people take it personally. They challenge us. They call us negative. They want nothing but positivity and want us to say that everything's great all the time. And I get it, but our job is to be honest with everybody and to give real analysis. And I just wanted to point out, and I wanted to play a little clip from Mario yesterday, because he talks about the fact that they are never going to be done adding pieces. Let's start with that. Let's hear Mario Cristobal.
With regard to the front seven, do you still have your eye out for more edge players, inside backers, defensive tackle? Where is there a need still in your eyes?
Everything. We need to get better on our entire team. Us as coaches, as players, as an organization, we got to get better. And the levels of physicality in the front seven and the offensive line, the tight end box, have got to be elevated. Part of it is depth, part of it is strength and conditioning, part of it is practice, the other part is technique and fundamentals, and then it ends with mentality. And we have to establish a mentality and an identity by the way we practice and by the way we play. So those positions, we're never going to stop trying to add pieces. I guess that's the best way to put it. We're looking for explosive guys that play with a ton of physicality and have an edge to them. You have to play at the line of scrimmage with a disposition where you're gonna affect the other side of the ball, and that's an every down thing. That's not a sometimes thing. So we're gonna keep doing that.
So this is why you see a kicker coming in to visit. This is why you're seeing a steady parade of defensive linemen, potential transfers coming in to visit. You got a kid from West Virginia coming in this weekend, who is almost very likely going to come to Miami. Just a constant effort by the coaching staff to keep looking for players that can help make this team better. And I don't think that anybody out there should be taking it personally. No matter how you feel about the season, about the team, this is part of the process to making this program better, Matt.
Well, last year, Michigan State took a ridiculous amount of transfers because they had to, because all their players left. Mario Cristobal's doing something no one else has done that I can think of, which is looking at a team he just took over and saying, we have a lot of players that should leave. I mean, there's no other reason to take a double-digit transfer list right when you get on the job, 4 months later, 5 months later. Now you've had a full evaluation and you see them bringing in defensive lineman after defensive lineman transfer. They're starting to look at linebacker transfers. There's a kid out at UCLA they're looking at now and trying to get. They've already brought in 2 DB, I think it's 2 DB transfers, whatever it is, 1 or 2 DB transfers. I know it's Porter. That's the whole point. You lose track. That's how many transfers they're taking. They're probably going to look to take another receiver transfer. They're taking a running back transfer. I mean, every position that you see, except for maybe quarterback and tight end, Mario Cristobal is basically saying, we need transfers. You can't get a quick fix in recruiting because they're true freshmen that aren't going to be ready to play. You can get a quick fix from the transfer portal, and it's not by the necessity that Michigan State had. It's by the mere fact that Mario Cristobal apparently has looked at this roster and said, oh, you know.
I mean, and maybe that's
open the fridge and you got a bunch of moldy food in there. Is basically the message he's given when you bring in 10. He's probably going to bring in 10 to 15 transfers, which I never would have thought he would have done even a month ago. And
I think you're being a little harsh there. Let's be honest.
Harsh. This is a positive. He looked at the roster. It's not good enough. He's bringing in transfers to make the team better. That's a good thing. That's not harsh. It's a reality. He saw the roster and he's correct in his assessment. You and I both know this roster's not good enough. We don't have the guts or whatever it is to probably kick 10 or 15 kids off the team. But he knows I'm not getting paid a lot of money to keep bad players on the team or players that can't do the job on the team.
It's just guys that can't help Miami win at the level that Miami.
You don't want to say bad players because fans freak out and say you can't call it's a student athlete. You can call them bad. Well, I'll call them bad. They're bad players. If you're bringing in 10 or 15 transfers, it's because you got bad players. It's the truth.
I don't know if bad is the right word. Bad is too harsh of a word.
You're bad. You're a bad.
You're gonna get crushed on the comments on YouTube.
Of course.
And you're gonna deserve it.
I love the bad comments. I love them.
No, but bad is too harsh. I mean, it's not like there's a difference between Miami and say the rosters of Clemson and Georgia, for example. And this is what Mario Cristobal is tasked with getting to, is as quickly as possible, getting Miami on a level to where the Canes can again compete for ACC championships and national championships. And, it's not going to be without, some tough moments along the way and, some tough conversations. And, you don't really know what those conversations are going to be until you go out and you can get somebody better to come join your team. And so we'll see how it happens. But the point I'm making is that, Matt and I, we're just reporting what's taking place and what's obviously taking place. And, I don't think anybody out there should take it personally. If you are a Hurricane fan, this is what you want. You want your roster to progressively get better. And they are trying to do it as quickly as they possibly can. All right, so Mario stops practice yesterday, Matt. He delivers a pointed message, an effective motivational tactic in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, what I heard is he says to the team, "You guys are bad. You're all bad." That's what I was told he said. This is his words, not mine. Yeah, no, look, Mario Cristobal's.
He's kidding everybody, just in case you didn't know.
Mario Cristobal's. He's actually impressed me a lot with what he's done, because he's done what I maybe what I wouldn't have the guts to do, but what I think should have been done. And I said it last year. I said I don't understand why Manny Diaz isn't stopping practice. You see kids walking. You see kids just not even doing drills. Why isn't he stopping practice? I said it last year. And Mario Cristobal saw the same thing. This is the same team as last year. It's the same team that just walks through stuff when they get too tired, a lot of these guys. And Mario Cristobal said, "What are you doing? This is not Miami. This is not what Miami does."
There's more juice on that practice field during warm-ups, during stretching exercises, than there was during the meat of practice the past several years.
And by the way, you don't want me to say bad. I was talking to another reporter who's covered this team for a long time also yesterday, and the word bad was mentioned by him also. And he brought up a legitimate concern, which is some of these quote-unquote bad players, and I know you don't like the word bad, whatever word you want to use, these players who aren't up to snuff. I don't know what old-term language you use, Gary, from the 1950s when you were 25 years old, but I will tell you that word bad was mentioned by him also, which maybe I was repeating it. But his other concern was, what happens when you kick a Miami Central kid off the team? What happens when you kick a Miami Northwestern kid off the team? And by kick off, I mean, these are renewable one-year scholarships. The players aren't, everyone expects the players to just en masse leave that aren't good enough. They don't really have anywhere to go. The way the portal is right now, if you're not that good, you're not going to a major program at this point, because these rosters are all bloated everywhere from that extra COVID-19 year. You're you might be done with your college career, period. You're not getting a scholarship and you're not getting your degree if you haven't already graduated. I mean, it's a harsh reality. And these players who are on these teams, not just Miami, but everywhere, they're still in touch with their high school coaches. They still have relationships. Those coaches probably told a lot of these prospects when they were in high school, listen, you can trust those guys at this school. The school will take care of you. They'll make sure you graduate, whatever. There can be some blowback from the programs, and you don't want to have blowback from top local programs. And there's a lot of kids on this team from top local programs. At some point, there will be a Chaminade kid. There will be a Northwestern kid. There will be a Central kid at some point where they just have to say, listen, this is the next guy on the list that he's just not going to really help us. And son, I'm sorry, we tried our best. We coached you and it's just not working out, and we'll try to help you find another home. They could try, but a lot of these players that are going to wind up getting kicked off the team, okay, that's the truth. You can say it as nicely as you want. They're bad and they're getting kicked off the team. Okay, Gary? People can complain. That's the truth. That's what happens.
Can we? Do you have
if
to
you're not good enough, you're bad.
They're not good enough. That's
the opposite of good. That's the opposite of good, Gary. Is the opposite of good okay? They're okay players? Because I think the opposite of good is a different word, but you won't say that word. But anyway,
I'll use an example that covers everything you just talked about. Tight end Khalil Brantley. Okay, he's a good player, but he's not as good as Will Mallory. He's not as good as Elijah Arroyo. He's not as good as Jaleel Skinner. He doesn't block anywhere near as well as Dom Mammarelli. He is the 5th or 6th tight end.
You're doing something I would never do. I won't single out a kid by name, period.
No, he's a great example because he went to Miami Northwestern. And this is a kid that clearly is better off going to play college football at another school, whether it's FAU, FIU. They could take a kid like that. He is good enough to play at a school like FAU, FIU.
You think I'm going to get negative comments? Wait till you see all the Khalil Brantley fans that rat you out.
But I'm not. I like Khalil Brantley, but the point is he's at best the 5th or 6th tight end right now, and they're not done recruiting. They're going to keep recruiting players at that position, and his prospects of playing at the University of Miami are not great, okay? But it's a good example because he went to Miami Northwestern and he fits the category of what you were just talking about.
Yeah, listen,
what you're saying is,
okay,
time out. Let me finish. What you're saying is if you have to terminate or whatever, or urge to transfer or however it plays out, a kid from Miami Northwestern, does that have residual damage or effects on your future recruitment at that high school? And that's a legitimate question. And I think that's a gamble that they're going to be forced to take. I mean, look at Florida State, Matt. They have 18 players in the transfer portal right now. And none of them have gotten a new home yet. So they're going through the same thing in Tallahassee.
But they're all pretty good players, right, Gary? They're not bad players.
I haven't looked at. I haven't studied.
I'm just kidding.
Listen, I have enough.
When I say they're bad, obviously I mean they're not good enough. Okay, that's honestly what I mean.
Not good enough.
Bad. I just enjoy the word. Listen, people don't say the word bad enough. I enjoy the word bad. It's a very simple 3-letter word. You can say it so much easier than they're not that good. Searching for these other adjectives, just say bad, man. It's just easier. I don't really mean the kids are bad players. Of course, they're not bad players.
I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go rip you on the YouTube.
I just like to say bad.
Oh,
I love it. Everyone out there should start saying bad today. Whenever you want to say not good or not good enough, just say you're bad to somebody. It'll make you feel better.
I think the point that we're making on all fronts is a good point, and these are all issues that are part of the modern day Miami football, and that's why we're talking about them on this show, and we'll keep talking about them. We're going to be talking about them on the message boards and stuff too, because these are pertinent issues for today, for tomorrow, for next week, next month. This is going to continue all the way through the summer.
Let me ask something, Gary. Are you the kind of guy who, when you were coaching basketball, you wanted all your players to get awards no matter what, or you only gave 1 award or 2 awards to the best players and you told the other ones you're not good enough? What kind of coach were you?
I never told a kid he wasn't good enough.
No. I guess that's the difference between us. No. I made my kids cry.
Yeah. Obviously, certain kids played more than others, but I never told a kid he wasn't good
literally
enough.
Would tell
I always tried to find a role for a kid, even if it was just setting a screen at the top of the kid.
Got to toughen these kids up, man. I would give out a game ball, and I'd say, and you're not getting a game ball, and you're not getting a game ball. And I'd give out the game ball to the kid who actually did pretty well. I had fun with it. But, in modern society, God forbid, you tell somebody they're bad. It's, it's terrible.
I mean, I had kids that couldn't even hit
I'm
the
that
rim
guy.
in basketball.
I'm that guy.
I had kids that couldn't even hit the rim in basketball, and I used to just put them at the top of the key and set screens, and I would turn them into werewolves, man. And it's like they would get so excited that they were setting screens and freeing up
Oh yeah,
their teammates for points.
Okay, great. You know what? You should have coached my son. You know what my son did, Gary? I put him in the Bethlehem Basketball League because he was not the most socially conscious child, and I figured being in a team sport would help him, right? He hated basketball. He would intentionally foul out of every game. At one game, I literally yelled to him. I said, I don't want to say his first name because people will Google him anyway, but I said, I don't want to say which of the sons it is. But I said, you only have one more. This is before halftime. I said, you only have one more foul. Be careful. And literally, as soon as I said it, he just grabbed the kid and threw him down. That's what I was dealing with. How would you deal with that, Gary? How would you deal with that player on your team? Okay, that was my son.
Oh, God.
I never put him in basketball again, though. He taught me my lesson.
Moving on to other things that developed at practice yesterday. So Jalen Rivers, offensive line, he's coming off knee injury and all that. He's doing more and more every practice, and we saw him participating quite a bit yesterday, more so than I think we've seen him in the earlier stages of spring. And he's getting about to the point where they could go full go with him if they wanted to. But they're being careful. They're not overdoing it. But universally, what we heard was everybody on both sides of the ball talking about how good Jalen Rivers is going to be this fall. And Matt, and then when you see, his size and the clear work that he's been doing on his upper body in the weight room and how he's developing physically as a college football player, Jalen Rivers looks like he potentially can become a monster up front.
Yeah, people keep thinking he's going to get moved to right tackle. Every rep he's gotten, we've seen, has been a guard, and he says he wants to play guard. So, I don't know. I don't know that the dream of putting the right tackle is going to happen. But yeah, I mean, he'll be a starter. He's going to be a really good lineman. I think he and Zion Nelson will be two of the best linemen in the ACC. I really think both of them are good. The issue is going to be the rest of the offensive line, and we'll see. But at least they got two really good ones, right? Can't argue with that.
Well, here's what I can tell you. Logan Sagapolu is starting to really assert himself. He's starting to get comfortable now. He's a big, strong kid, and he is making a move this week at offensive line. And I think there's a pretty reasonable chance he's going to claim the right guard spot. What happened?
Just 2 days ago, you said Justice Oluwaseun is going to be the best offensive lineman you ever seen.
Yeah, and I'm telling you,
he's not even starting.
No, he's going to play a lot. I'm just telling you, the Sagapolu is making a big move this week. Now, who's going to win out at the end? We'll see. But he's making a big move this week. This is what I've heard, and is really practicing well now, and is comfortable in the new offense, and is just letting it rip. And he's a strong, physical kid. So you look at him at right guard, Rivers at left guard, and Ja'Kai Clark in the middle at center, who Alex Mirabal has said that he could be maybe the best center in the ACC.
Oh yeah, hold on. Where are you putting John Dennis then? Where's he going to fit?
John Dennis?
Yeah, where are you putting him?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Listen, if I listen to you, Gary, we have the best offensive line in the country. I mean, this is an embarrassment of riches. It's amazing.
They are absolutely starting to put together a representative offensive line that we haven't seen here in a while. Now,
let me ask you
you talk about Jonathan Dennis. He's going to get here in the summer. So
he's not committed yet. He has not committed yet. But
he's going to commit. He's going to come to Miami. I'm pretty sure of that. He was offered this week. He went into the transfer portal from Oregon. He was offered by Miami this week. He'll visit at some point. I'm pretty sure he's going to go to Miami. I don't know if he could play right tackle or not. I don't have a feel for that. But Rivers is going to be in the starting lineup. Ja'Kai Clark's going to be in the starting lineup. Logan's going to be most likely in the starting lineup. DJ Scaife, he's a scraper. I don't think he's a lock to hold on to a starting job. It'll depend on what happens with these other guys. And Zion Nelson.
Here's where we're at. I'm going to interrupt because you've been talking for 25 minutes.
Well, I'm just going to finish and say Zion Nelson needs to keep stepping it up. I mean, I don't know if he's totally safe as a starter. Like, we'll have to see. Where I don't know where they're going to put John Dennis. I don't know where they're going to put any other guys they might get in the transfer portal. We'll have to see.
8 months ago, Logan Sagapolu was fully healthy, practicing in fall camp, and he was a clear second teamer, not getting first team reps in Oregon. Here, he's a first teamer in the spring, and like you said, very likely to start. This offensive line is not going to be as good as Oregon's offensive line was last year, in my opinion. It'll be hopefully good enough in the ACC. I think it will be good enough in the ACC. But I just want to make clear to people, this is not an offensive line that Ohio State would ever want to have on its team.
Being negative again,
Alabama
man.
would.
I'm trying to be positive, and you're being negative.
Alabama would cancel the season if this was their offensive line. They'd find some reason to cancel the season. Okay, I mean, it's just the truth. It's a good offensive line in the ACC. I think. Like last year, I was fooled. Last year, I was saying this offensive line is going to be the best offensive line they've had in years. It was just a very below. It was below average. It just was. And it's a shame too, because that offense was so good. If that line could have, got a little push that run game going, man, a little better pass protection at times. But it's the same guys all back with a couple of transfers who were backups elsewhere. And I mean, maybe it'll all come together like Gary says. I'm not going to live in a pipe dream fantasy world. I'm going to tell the truth. Miami's offense is going to be great this year, but I don't think it's going to be great because of the offensive line. That's just my opinion.
All right. How about Keyshawn Smith? Do you see him making a contribution? We spoke to him after practice yesterday, and he's building confidence. He feels pretty good about what he's doing out there. I mean, he wants to be wide receiver one. I don't think he's there yet, for sure. Restrepo, to me, is the best receiver on the team, as I've said. But he's embracing the move towards physicality at practice. And one thing we see, Matt, on a steady basis is the receivers working much more on their blocking and just being physical out there, even when running routes.
Yeah, I mean, on Matt Shodell's bad player scale, I would put Keyshawn Smith at a -3, which is the opposite of bad. He's actually on the good side of bad. So that's a good thing. I think he's a very good player. It's funny, actually. Did you notice that there was a post yesterday? Somebody said, Mario Cristobal's getting rid of everybody. He said even Sebastian, the mascot, better be careful. He might be replacing you. You're next. But Keyshawn Smith's not going anywhere. These receivers, I still think these receivers are just fine. I know it hasn't been a great spring for really any one of them who's shown up consistently, other than probably Xavier Restrepo. Looks good every day and a really nice catch yesterday. But it's hit or miss. Like Mike Redding had an amazing play. I don't know whether the defense was just awful on the play, but I mean, James Williams and Gil Firestone both looked like they get the interception, and then somehow they jumped at the wrong time, and Mike Redding high-pointed it and got the ball right in between the two of them. So I don't know if that's good for Miami or bad for Miami. That's my problem with spring practice. It's either good or bad or both, always both. But like these guys have the ability, right? Mike Redding has the ability. Keyshawn Smith has the ability. It's now the consistency. And I think the most consistent receiver on the team by far is Xavier Restrepo. He's just not going to be the biggest, fastest, strongest guy, but he's just consistent, man. And we've talked about this before, like those Wake Forest slot receivers, that's Xavier Restrepo. He would catch 100 balls for 1,200 yards and 2 touchdowns in that offense at Wake Forest. And Miami can certainly use him in a similar way here. This is a Josh Gaddis system. He can do whatever he wants. He's run 3 different offensive systems in the last 5 years, basically, depending on his personnel. So I think he's going to rapidly discover he needs to use 2 tight ends all the time. Get the ball to Xavier Restrepo over the middle on quick hitters if the offensive line is not as good as he thinks it might be. And then take your shots down the field with Jacoby and with Keyshawn. And hopefully Frank Ladson comes along and becomes a weapon. That's it. 35 points a game. I just gave you the formula. Josh Gaddis, you're welcome.
All right, and conversation's not limited to the offensive side of the ball either. We talked a little bit of defense yesterday with Jordan Miller, and Matt, the thing that came to mind is just how better conditioned he looks. Jordan Miller was always a kid with a weight problem, always was too heavy, couldn't move well enough. He clearly has dropped, I'm guessing, at least 30 pounds. I mean, he looked really, really, really in shape. And his mental makeup, to me, was better than I've ever seen it since he got to Miami.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they've got a lot of defensive linemen that aren't fully healthy or aren't really grasping things yet, right? Jordan Miller, you know, I love him to death, and he's a veteran. I think was he a 6th year or 5th year, whatever he is. He's been here a long time.
I think he's 5 year 5.
5th year, yeah. He's the Will Mallory of the defense, and he's a good player. He's a 0 on the badness scale, but like, is he the guy that I think should be starting and playing 80% of the reps? I'm sorry, Jordan. Like, probably not.
No.
You know, love you to death, but this is your chance this spring because let's face it, there's other guys who, you know, Antonio Moultrie is a transfer who's not healthy. Jared Harrison Hunt, most people think will start. He's dealing with a foot infection. And Leonard Taylor's been slow to pick up the playbook yet again, so he's with the second team. By the fall, I fully expect if Jordan Miller's lucky, he'll be the 4th defensive tackle into a game. And it's nice to talk to him and give him a chance to talk to the media because he loves talking to the media. All the players love talking to the media. But in reality, he should be a backup tackle. On a good team, he should be a backup tackle, and that's what I think he will be.
Yeah, but he'll make a contribution, I think, especially in short yardage situations and stuff.
Yeah, he's a good run-stop guy, yeah.
Yeah, there's a place for him out there. And we also talked to Corey Flagg after practice, and he talked a little bit about the coaching that the players on defense are getting from the staff that's been put together, and in his case, Charlie Strong, former head coach, and I had some really interesting things to say in that regard. So I encourage everybody to take a look at that story as well on the website. All right, so beyond practice, which now will move to Saturday, there's 4 left in spring practice. They will scrimmage again on Saturday, and you know we'll obviously have over the weekend whatever details we can cull from that. But there continues to be a steady stream of recruits coming through the building and coming through practice, and we've got a bunch of stories on the website today in that regard. You know, an elite running back, Cedric Baxter, he visited with his teammate Camp McGee. All the accounts that we heard of that visit was that it went very, very well. Miami is clearly in the mix with Cedric Baxter, and he's taking a lot of real high-profile visits, and then he will process it all and start to pare his list down. There was a defensive end transfer from Jacksonville State that was in by the name of DJ Coleman. He left without an offer, but you know it's probably still under evaluation, and you know we'll see what happens down the road. Could depend on what other options Miami has here in the coming days and weeks in the transfer portal. Canes received a visit Thursday from a blown-away offensive lineman by the name of Nathan Afobe from Cumming, Georgia. Continuous theme, Matt, of all the kids visiting, they all seem to love their Miami visits. It's old school Miami. It's the way it used to be. The Miami visit used to be revered all across the country. Now all these kids are making it. They're all talking about what a great time they're having when they're there.
Right. Well, that's sort of the theme, right? That's when I tell you these coaches are the real deal. These coaches are the real deal. You know, I may make fans mad when I talk about the players and they're not up to snuff as I perceive it. And this is, again, when I talk about the players and where I see them, it's compared to an ACC championship level player at that position or a position group that should be what it should look like. I mean, I've covered this team for over 20 years. You have too. We both know what it should look like. And it doesn't look like that right now, player-wise. Coaching-wise, it looks every bit, not just ACC championship level, but national championship level. This is as good a coaching staff as I've seen as when they were winning championships and when I covered the team. Actually, I started back in the late 90s, but when I came back full-time was in 2001. And this staff is incredible. We were watching yesterday, and there wasn't one coach that wasn't hands-on in a drill, individually, even lining up and literally showing them what to do. And I just can't say that. Every coach on this staff is amazing, in my opinion. They're amazing coaches. But again, if they lose games this year, it's not going to be on the coaches. Okay, fans are always blaming the coaches. Fire this guy. It will be it's just not quite the team you want to win an ACC championship yet. They're going to get there. They're going to get there. But as I said, I think 3 to 4 years you'll be a national championship contender. Maybe in 2 years, ACC title winner. I'm not sure they can do it this year. Although bringing these transfers, maybe they'll hit the whatever the word is, hit the jackpot. And one of my favorite moments in practice, which just sort of shows what this team's potentially going to be about, right? Tyler Van Dyke's the quarterback, right? He's the guy who's basically slinging passes, and they're just doing, at the time, it was a one-on-one. I want to say it was quarterback to tight end. No, quarterback to wide receiver drills. But they were having a tight end sort of line up at the side of the quarterback just to sort of mimic what it's supposed to look like. And, and the quarterback's supposed to look this way and then back to the receiver. And for whatever reason, I guess the tight end was getting who was supposed to be in for that rep was getting instruction. And it's Jake Garcia's turn to be the quarterback. So Jake's standing there waiting for the shotgun snap, but there's no tight end. And Tyler Van Dyke sprints from where he was with Frank Ponce and gets down in a tight end set and looks at Jake and goes like this, like he's ready, And then the coach is like, no. The coach is like, no. And they send the tight end. But the tight end in to replace Tyler Van Dyke. But the point is, this wasn't last year. They just would wait. Okay, the tight end's not ready. He's getting a drink of water or whatever. No, Tyler Van Dyke sprints and we're not stopping. We're moving, man. This practice has got to move along. It's bam, 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 and the players know it, and they'll do whatever it takes to keep the practice moving along and get the guys the reps they need.
All right, and the visits, like I said, are continuous. Saturday, for example, Miami will be hosting a 2024 athlete by the name of Fred Gaskin, who's going to be a big part of the 2024 class. We've got a story on that on the website today.
You know who else is coming Saturday? Your favorite. Sam Mpemba says he might be coming on Saturday. Are you excited?
You mean he'll probably be coming?
Oh, probably be coming. Yeah, and his teammate Francis Moaga, I can't say his name, and Jalen Hayward and Akeem Messidor and Parker Lewis. I mean, and there'll be more there. There's going to be a lot of recruits this Saturday and then for the spring game. It's going to be really it's amazing. It's a crazy amount of recruits, recruits.
It's insane what a difference it is, right?
Yeah, and even the low-level recruits are coming. We're not writing about them because we don't have time, but there's plenty of other recruits out there that just are never going to get really an offer. But Miami's like, yeah, come on out, see what it's about. Tell your friends, Tell your friends.
A lot of people watching practice, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
All right, and not to be forgotten is the baseball team, which is doing really well, moving up in all the national polls. Amazing what a few weeks difference makes there as well. I mean, a few weeks ago, people were bitching and moaning and talking about wanting Gino DiMare fired and all that. Now they're just winning. They're moving up in the polls. They're having a good season to this point. And Jim Martz takes a look at all of that like only Jim can. And we've got that story.
Okay, let me tell you something, okay?
On the website this morning.
Jim Martz tried to give Gino DiMare a layup. He said, hey, Gino, that 20-5 loss, by the way, after that 20-5 loss to whoever it was, I think it was maybe Clemson, Miami's won 10 straight games since then, right? So Jim was trying to draw the parallel from the basketball team, which got crushed by Alabama, and that was the catalyst for their Elite Eight run. And he's given DiMare a life. He's like, hey, coach, wouldn't you say that maybe that's a turning point for this team, losing that game 20-5? And DiMare's like, no. This happens all the time at Miami. We win games 20-5. We lose games 20-5. It doesn't matter. There was 3 years once the College World Series we lost by 15 or more runs. And Jim's like, there goes my story.
So
Jim tried to help Gino draw the parallel to the basketball team without any luck.
So lots of stuff for you guys to dig your teeth into on the website this morning, as always, and it'll continue through the weekend with the scrimmage on Saturday and all the visits that'll be taking place. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary.
Hold on. Would you say this was a bad Good Morning CaneSport, Gary, or a good Good Morning CaneSport? It was.
It's a good Morning CaneSport, and I'm about to make it better because I'm.
You won't say the word. You won't say the B word. I know.
No, but I am going to play that great Life Wallet commercial. Here it goes.
We here at Life Wallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have a problem with CC, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to CC. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger, so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
You notice who was at the front? Jalen Rivers.
Yeah, and what does that mean?
Listen, if you're going to protect Tyler Van Dyke, it's going to start with Jalen Rivers.
Listen, all I know is I've watched too many sci-fi movies, because when Tyler Van Dyke looks into a magic briefcase and it says data download complete, you're sort of expecting as a sci-fi fan to just see a skeleton then sitting in the chair, and his data has been downloaded into some multiverse where he's now like some cartoon character in outer space. You don't expect him to simply sit there after all his data was transferred out of his brain into this magic briefcase, but that's just me. I got a lot of problems, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you for joining us once again. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Stay on the website through the weekend. We'll have lots of reports for you. And then we'll see you again Monday morning on this show. Goodbye, everybody.